Hello, my name's Alastair.
Pleasure, my name's Sam. I was getting a load of smuts on your face.
Nice! Oh look! I'm gonna have good luck! Oh, 25! Stuck you enough till the next train. Don't know what time that is, do we? Oh, there's no freight in the yard. Oh, sash, it was a dump. Went half price, woke up, CDs, bloke full, games, everything. Not gonna go wrong now.
Oh, I'm crying. I'm crying. Breakfast.
Don't, you make the spins.
Al's got an extra large burger, ain't you, Al? Al has a plastic full. Are you going to get one? I'm sorry, Al, but due to complications with other members of the team, I can't have you as member of the team no more. You're out.
I'm sorry, Sam.
Welcome to the next instalment of the Railriders franchise. In this episode, we take a look at the North Norfolk Railway Diesel Gala. This particular Diesel Gala took place on June 2017. And probably the most interesting thing about this gala was the fact that there was 3 peaks in operation at the event. The peaks, believe it or not, were all subclass variations of 44, 45 and 46, leaving the North Norfolk to nickname this gala the 3 Peaks Challenge. After Class 46 D182 from the Midland Railway Centre Butterley heads into Holt Station, we notice the thrilling sight of D8 Penigent visiting from the Peak Rail. Now this is interesting because this Class 44 Peak diesel locomotive has never been away from home, and this is the first time it's ever attended a diesel gala. The locomotive will be taking the next train out down to Sheringham, which is the train we'll be catching. A few minutes later, a stray Class 20 shows up in the form of 2142 Sir John Benjamin.
That goes right down there.
As there is multiple trains working at this gala, at each end a train has to pass the other. So another train must come up to halt platform 2 in order for the next train to go down to Sheringham. Due to most of the railway's resident diesel locomotive fleet being unable to attend the event due to maintenance issues, B12 number 8572 was pressed into action for the event. As we approach Sheringham Station, we are shocked to see the sight of an old friend.
You're now working at North Norfolk?
Yeah, I got you.
The British Rail Class 44 or Sulzer Type 4 diesel locomotives were built by British Railways Derby Works between 1959 and 1960. They were named after British mountains and consequently got their nickname Peaks. The 44s were some of the first big diesels commissioned for the British Rail Modernisation project. The classes of 45 and 46 were also nicknamed Peaks due to being a very similar design to their predecessors. D8 Penigent 44008 currently houses at the Peak Rail, and here she is, far away from home in Norfolk, making her debut gala for the first time. She is also fresh out of the paint shop after a heavy overhaul. After our tea break, Class 46 D182 heads with a train bound for Holt on a top and tail service with D8 Penigent. The next train into Sheringham is formed of Class 37 and Class 20 double-header. This particular Class 37 is 37218 in the brand new direct rail service livery. This particular variation of 37 is the Y-Pack Lights variation, a modification that was added to make the 37s more mainline worthy. As the 37 comes to a halt in Sheringham platform, 8572 takes the next train out towards Holt. (37218) failed at this point in time and had to be replaced by the other visiting Class 37 of 37605 in the lesser modern DRS Compass livery. We're going to catch this service down to Holt so we can get some nice 37 fresh.
Yeah. No. We should have some fresh on this one.
Weybourne is at the centre of the line and is the main point where trains pass each other. After the peaks have departed, it's full speed ahead to halt. So me, Alastair and Simon decide to gaze at the 37, completely oblivious to the fact that there is another train leaving back down to Sheringham soon and we'll be stranded. We decided to run for it.
Yeah, get the 37 at Weybourne, yeah? Run!
Time for a short train spotting session at Weybourne as we wait for the Class 37 to take us back down to Sheringham. The train approaching Weybourne now is Class 46 D182. The 46s were built from 1961 to 1963 at British Railway's Derby Works and were initially numbered D138 and D193. With the arrival of tops, they were renumbered to Class 46. 56 locomotives were built. The first was withdrawn in 1977, and all of them were withdrawn by the end of 1984. The Class 46 design was structurally the same as the predecessing Class 45 build, and had the same Sulzer engine, but differed in the filament of a brushed generator and traction motors, in place of the Crompton Parkinson's equipment fitted to the Class 45. Probably the most well-known Class 46 is that of Pete Waterman's D172 Ixion, which is now based at the Peak Rail in Derbyshire. Class 45 45133 starts up for the afternoon services. After this, we noticed the sight of a Class 101 Metcam DMU heading into the station. Time to head back to Sheringham for some lunch, as the Class 37 heads into the station with the 20. You're probably wondering by now why the Class 20 is hooked up to the 37. This is because Direct Rail Services Class 37s unfortunately aren't fitted with vacuum braking, so they're only air brake compatible. The 20 is supplying the vacuum to the coaches. Now back at Sheringham, we notice the sight of B12 steam locomotive 8572 being prepared to run round the train to the other end. The locomotive has been given a nameplate to sort of fit in with the event more.
This is walking down the streets of Sheringham, and a bit busy.
It is a bit busy in Sheringham indeed. The rather attractive seaside town was holding a car show on this particular day.
Can we present the trophy to you?
Where are we going for food, Si? Dame.
After grabbing our chips, you can't blame us for going to take a walk down to the seafront.
Well, there's, you know, the other ones that go into London, Liverpool, the small one.
Now back at the North Norfolk Railway, we notice Class 20 2227 in the main platform and D182 on the rear of the next train out to halt, waiting to depart. You may recognise the number of 2227, as this particular Class 20 was the Class 20 that was painted in the London Underground livery to celebrate London's 150 years of the Tube. The locomotive, like 2142, was repainted in London Transport livery.
Right.
2142 heads down into the platform so it can couple up to 2227. This will form a double-headed service of Class 20s down to Holt. .45133 finally stretches her wheels as she approaches Sheringham. The 20s depart, and so does Alastair, and this will leave us to part our ways. Let's see if you can spot him waving at us. .45133 runs round its train to take the next train down to Holt. Class 45 were built by British Railways Derby and Crewe Works between 1960 and 1962. Along with the similar Class 44 and 46 locomotives, they became known as peaks. The Class 45s became the main traction on the Midland Main Line from 1962, and their introduction allowed considerable acceleration of the previous steam-powered service. They remained the main source of traction on the Midland Main Line to up to 1982. From 1986, the 45s virtually disappeared from the line, and by 1989, all of the peaks were withdrawn. 45133 is now housed at the Midland Railway Centre at Butterley, and has spent a long period of time being loaned out to the Mid Norfolk Railway. After this gala's finished, the locomotive is heading back home to Derbyshire for a heavy overhaul. Probably the railway's only proper resident diesel locomotive in action today is Class 11 12131 heading into the station. The 45 now departs with a train bound for Holt. The British Rail Class 11 was applied to a batch of diesel shunting locomotives built from April 1945 to December 1952, based on a similar early batch built by the London Midland and Scottish Railway between 1934 and 1936. The outer casing and overall design can be related to the Class 08 diesel locomotives. An initial batch of 20 locomotives was built during World War II, 14 of which were built for the War Department. A while later, D8 Pennigand heads up the line with a train bound for Sheringham. This particular service will be catching back to Holt. D8 is one of two surviving members of the Class 44, the other being D4, Great Gable, which is situated at the Midland Railway Centre, Butterley, undergoing a heavy overhaul. The Class 11 now departs with its one-coach train up to Weybourne. Whilst awaiting departure time, Sheringham's pilot shunting locomotive D3940 Class 08 is pressed into action to give a shunting demonstration, as seen here shunting a box fan to Sheringham outer sidings. Final departure preparations are being commenced, and then it's full speed ahead to halt. do hope you've enjoyed this instalment of the Railriders franchise, and this has influenced you and persuaded you to watch more episodes in this series. Goodbye for now.
Guys, getting excited coming into this childhood station. I think everyone's got the same idea as us. We must have walked at least a mile and we still ain't seen the end of it.
I absolutely don't believe it.
Oh, that's mad. But this is like, I've never seen anything like this before.
Don't you just love it when this happens?
Just our luck side, isn't it? It appears it's resulted to us testing out the new 387.
We didn't expect to come here today, did we?